Hi everybody, it's Sally here. Somebody asked a question the other day about how to calculate the number of stitches to knit up the side of a V-neck band, and my tongue wasn't entirely stuck in my cheek when I said how about using Pythagoras Theorem, at which all of you maths phobic people run a mile. But really, the Pythagoras Theorem isn't that difficult. If any of you remember, it's the old right-angled triangle thing, where the square of the hypotenuse equals the sum of the square of the opposite two sides. So there's not an awful lot of my maths that I remember from school, but I do remember that one. So I thought I would sketch out how to actually apply that mathematical theorem to your knitting pattern. And so I've taken just a pattern of one of my patterns that I knitted a while ago, with a simple sketch of the 4-ply UK 4-ply round neck sweater that I made, and I've just taken the top section up here and sketched it out on a bit bigger on another piece of paper. And so here I've got where I've done the inset for the sleeve, and then you're knitting the bodice part up here, sloping the shoulder and knitting the neck. And that was the original round neck shaping that I put in there. So then on the opposite side of the diagram I put in a hypothetical V-neck shaping. And so you obviously have to work out where you want your V-neck shaping to start, and from memory I seem to remember that they start about a third of the way up from where you start the sleeve shaping. So bearing in mind that I've got 100 rows here from where I do the sleeve shaping up to the shoulder, I've actually set it at row count 30. That's where I would start my V-neck shaping. And then I'm obviously going to knit the 100 rows up to here, and then another 10 rows by the time I get finished with the shoulder shaping to take me up to the actual the neckline finish. So I've drawn in my little right angled triangle. So there's my V-neck shaping coming up here. I'll be finishing at the same point as the round neck shaping would. So I've then just drawn in the right angled triangle to go with that slope. So I need to work out what I've got here and what I've got here so that I can do the maths. Well, obviously, to get to that point, you're actually decreasing exactly the same number of stitches from the centre line as you would for the round neck, except you're going to be doing it gradually up a slope. And so where I'm taking off 14 stitches here and 14 stitches here, it means that on either side of 0 I'm decreasing 28 stitches, i.e. the total of 56. So that distance across there is going to be the 28 stitches that I will be decreasing between that point and that point. And then my tension on this pattern was 7 stitches and 9.5 rows to an inch. So I divide that by 7. It gives me a dimension across there of 4 inches, which that makes sense. That's half the back neck. Back neck would be 8 inches. And then I need to then know what that length is going to be. And so if I'm starting this on row 30, and by the time I got up to here it would be row 110. 110 take away 30 gives me 80 rows. Then divide that by the 9.5 rows per inch on the row tension, gives me a dimension of 8.42 inches. Don't do any rounding up at this stage, leave the decimals in there. So I then need to do my Pythagoras. So I need to work out the square of those two numbers and add them together, and then take the square root of the result, which will then give me the length of that line, that slope line up there. So 4 by 4 is 16. 8.42 by 8.42 is 70.8964. Add those two numbers together, I get 86.8964. And then most calculators, mine included, have got a square root key on them. So I then just hit the square root key, and it then gives me the square root of that number, and the square root of 86.8964 is 9.32 inches. Multiply that by 7, gives me a result of 65.24, because that's going to tell me the number of stitches I want, and as that's less than 65.5 I'll round that down, so that'll give me 65 stitches that I would need to use. Oops, sorry, it just dropped knocked my rubber comb on the floor. So that would tell me that when I get to the point in time where I want to pick up stitches to go up that neckband, it would be 65 stitches that I would pick up. And then you would have 56 across the back neck and another 65 down the front. And if I get my trusty calculator again, 65 is 130, plus 56 should be 186. stitches, so my entire neckband would be 186 stitches in length. I hope that explains the use of Pythagoras. There are a number of situations where you could use Pythagoras. I recently knitted a little ballet cardigan for my niece, which had double crossover front like that, and how I calculated the band to go up those paths was exactly the same way. I used Pythagoras Theorem to give myself a mathematical answer, rather than well, let's just hold it up to the machine, stretch it a bit, don't stretch it a bit, have a guess, does it come out right, doesn't it not come out right? By doing it mathematically, it should come out correct every single time. Good luck.